Hello everyone, welcome to another weekly market review. It is the 14th of June 2021. We are still very much in a range in the crypto market, but we have a good game plan for this top of the range. Let's have a look. Here's the total market cap on the weekly, still very much below the 20 moving average, still below the big weekly level, higher up, and currently still below the monthly open. So not too much information. It is in an unconfirmed range, yet to choose direction. Let's dig a little deeper and head to the daily. The daily, so what we've done on the daily is this is the starting of the month, so we came up, tested the resistance level, broke back down, and since then we haven't closed above the monthly open. So I think that's pretty significant. You can see how many tests of the monthly open we've had. So, rather than a lot of levels on BTC, I think this is what is showing, in a much more cleaner and clearer way about what is going on in the market. And that is because, we're looking at BTC, but, odds against BTC are also playing a big role in what is going on in the market right now. So what basically we have is a broader, wider range, and it has come down and it's become a tighter range over here. So what I would say is, since we have a tight range, which price has held over almost the last 10 days, we broke down on the 5th of June, from below the monthly open, and we have stayed within that. So this is the game plan I shared in the Discord yesterday, that if we do end up breaking above the monthly open, we can have a potential move up to this anchored VWAPs along with the weekly level. Above that, if we still do carry on, we have this April monthly open. In terms of price structure, guys, this is the high that has made the low on the daily time frame. So if we do want to start looking for a reversal and start looking for a bullish narrative, what we want for price to do is come up, break this, and then make a higher low. And this is something I've discussed, right at the beginning once we did get this move down. So what do you want to see, to become bullish on the long term, or what do you want to see for me to become bullish in the long term? And this is what I would want to see. I want to see a higher high, and then for the market to print a higher low, and then start suggesting this direction, and here is where everything will be confirmed. But I would say if we make this higher high, then I will not be placed as aggressively as generally I am in this range to move to the lower side of this range and break this to the downside. Why am I still biased to the downside for now? It's just because of this, guys. Just because of the market structure. This has just been so bearish that for me still I think there's a higher probability of breaking down from the first consolidation. Of course, it takes time. It can take time. In 2017, 2018, it took more than a few months to do this, but all of this for me is playing out much faster. And if it is playing out that much faster, everything can happen quicker. But for now, just know we are still below monthly open. Price has tested it quite a few times, so if it does break up above, the shorts I had from up here and up here that I've been compounding, I only took 20% off yesterday, day before. So I'm still holding those. I have not added to any of those positions yet. So what I would do if we close above monthly open is close about 70 to 80% of those shorts, scalp some longs for price to reach here, and then I will reanalyze what happens to price action. Until then, if we do keep grinding here and break down, then lower time frame I will show some strategies for BTC and what we will be doing, and that's when I would re-add to my position and then look for this breakdown. Looking at BTC, so on the weekly, You can see this weekly close pretty strong, guys. This is interesting. This was an interesting weekly close. We saw the last 2 weeks, we never even ended up getting close to what we had as weekly resistance. But nonetheless, I mean, this is just a very premature hint for the market. It does not signify anything much yet, but it's just something to note. The only weekly level we had, we did get a close above it. We are also above the monthly open, but still very much in the range. Let's look at the daily. So this is the range that we have drawn out. Price is coming again to an area of interest, close to the top of the range. So if we are playing the range strategies that we have been, this is where we start looking for some kind of setups for downside. Notably, another big resistance that we had was the anchored VWAP from the May consolidation that broke down, and price has closed above it and is trying to flip this into support as well. So there's two significant events that do favor the bulls a bit. There's another thing I want to show you on the 4-hour, that is the ADX, and you can see that since we did break down, the DMI never broke above the 25 level. So this is the first push up that we have gotten yesterday. Even though it's a Sunday, it can be end of the week, low volume scam, but still we have that DMI closing above with the ADX rising. So ADX is still below 25, but you can see the DMI has risen. So these are 2 or 3 things which favor the bulls as of now. Prices sitting above monthly on Bitcoin, and so you see how different the Bitcoin and total market cap charts are. In terms of strategy, what we have is we're going to build out a range on Monday, which is today. So what I would like for you is to map out the Monday range, because I think the Monday range is going to be very very important, considering that we are still in a ranging market. There is no confirmation for Bitcoin. If you actually want a confirmation on the daily time frame, guys, the confirmation is really high up. The high that made the low, okay, this is the low, the yearly open low. The high that made the low is all the way up here, 51,314. So you want a reversal on the daily time frame. We have to put in a higher high above 51,300 and then build another higher low and break that high. That will be a confirmed reversal on a daily time frame. So what I would say is that even if we do end up moving here all the way up to 44k, this would still signify a corrective move. This move down was just so steep, guys, that this is the kind of invalidation we have for it. So if you just let me just drop a fib for this move and see where we are. If we head to 44k, it's still a 0.5 retrace. So what I would say is, guys, I showed you those levels and the monthly open on total. So that would get broken if this 40k 41k level is breaking. If that happens, is that similar move, if BTC can come to 44k, this move lines up with the move on the total market cap till the weekly resistance. So on total we will still be ranging, and this will make for a very good short squeeze on BTC. So this is in terms of potentially what we could get for a low time frame upside scenario, is that if we do break up above 40k, there could be another preeminent squeeze coming and we could make it all the way to 44k. There's a couple of equal highs here. That is still slightly higher, but once we do get squeezes and a lot of liquidations, that can come about. But how do we go about playing that, and how do we know that there's going to be a short squeeze? You have to watch open interest, guys. If price is moving up and open interest is dropping, that means shorts are closing, longs are closing. That's the time to be looking for what can potentially be a squeeze. So I think open interest is going to be very significant. Funding is also going to be very significant. Funding has become positive and neutral which is not exactly bearish. It is slightly bullish. It's slightly bearish. It's not exactly bullish. At resistance, what you want to see is generally negative funding, which means shorts are very interested and there's potential for a further squeeze. But for now, funding has become neutral. So, this needs to be played with price action. And essentially what has to happen is you need to map out Monday's range. So we'll have Monday's high and Monday's low, which will eventually give us the game plan for the rest of the week. So this could be higher and the low could be somewhere lower. But what we would like to see, if we want to see price breaking down, would like to see a sweep of Monday's high, and then a breakdown with a confirmation below weekly open. Let me just see where weekly open is. So I'll just map out weekly open as well, guys. So this is very good strategy for ranges and something that I use all the time. So we get, if this is the bullish, this is the bearish setup, if we sweep Monday's high and start to break below weekly open, we can say that this is the top of this range, and we are likely to go lower. But if we are to be bullish, then what we want is a sweep of Monday's low and a reclaim of weekly open. So when that happens, we can look for further upside, but just understand, do not play this aggressively towards the upside because we are at the top of this range. So this Bitcoin range is very significant, but for a breakdown specifically, this would be a very good setup if we sweep Monday's high and start to break below the weekly open with a confirmation with a close below Monday's low. But if we are going higher, likely once price starts to consolidate above 40,500, total market cap will have broken its monthly open, and then we can look for this potential squeeze even all the way to 44k, 44,800. So for both sides, this Monday's range is going to be very important. You should know a lot of good traders may not take a trade today because they want this range to form. When we have smaller amounts of information, this is what we need to work with and this is what we need to play. If people are already holding shorts like I am, then it's the same. I would be using the total market cap chart, but also watching Bitcoin. And if we can start closing above this daily level, even if it is just on Monday, I'd likely be closing a significant amount of my shorts and playing a low time frame move to the upside. For alts against BTC, still looking at DeFi against BTC. This is painting a good picture. This is where we were looking at it last time, and essentially in the thread I covered that if this move up, which was post the correction of this, if this is not corrective, this is where we will find support, and we got a very strong reaction from there. So if this is the initial impulse, this could be the beginning of the next correction of this move down, and we will get confirmation once we break this support. So watch out for those alt BTC pairs, guys. It could be very interesting, and I think if you want a safe move to the downside, agnostic of BTC's direction, alt BTC might be the play. Because what I will say is that if Bitcoin moves to the upside as well and there's an impulse, I think the alt BTC pairs will take a hit. So just keep a watch out for some alt BTC pairs and look for your favorite setups for potential downside. In terms of corrections and short squeezes, this is something that you should be looking at, because more the institutional investors from the US start to get involved with crypto and Bitcoin. We start to see correlation with certain kinds of sectors in the traditional markets. And you can see, in terms of, I did share this chart on Twitter before, we got that correction, a big correction on a lot of these sectors, and essentially, very similar short squeezes on these as well, either potential short squeezes or potential reversals, whatever they might be. But you can see how similar they are, in terms of structure. A lot of them are similar in terms of structure as well. So this is something what I would suggest you is to keep a lookout for. keep a look at these sectors and ETFs and watch for their correlation with crypto, because as the narrative grows and there's a lot of institutional money that really does move this crypto market. So this is something for you to ponder upon and to keep an eye out for. Looking at a slightly macro picture on the S&P 500, looking at this long-term channel from the 2009 crash lows, and currently where we are is for price which is near the top of the channel, almost flipping it into support. But essentially you can see there's a big part of the market even in 2013-14 where price was doing that. Any kind of mean reversion on this says that we do visit the bottom of the channel, but there is no confirmations on that. What I have here is a projection from the 2009 lows. This is essentially from a macro bottom, the strongest past performance we've had over the past 100 years. Okay, this is the strongest performance we've had. Currently, what are we doing? We are outperforming that significantly. So you can see, just in terms of time, I think I can still shift this right here. So when we did breakdown early May, I saw a lot of these charts being posted. So there's a lot of people who were looking for exactly the same thing, and I did show this to the Twitter as well and the people in the Discord, but with a note of caution that this is going around everywhere. So it has not broken down yet, but just understand that once sentiment does get over bullish, there is a potential for some kind of mean reversion. It's not going to be the end of the world. This is the strongest the market has been over the last 100 years, guys, since its inception. So even if it gets a 19-20% correction at some point over the next 2 to 3 months, it is going to be very, very normal. And you can see that this would be a big buy opportunity if and when it comes. Looking at the VIX on the weekly, we can also see we've broken down and had the lowest close all the way since January and February on the VIX. This is very positive in the long term for bulls. The fear has been drained out of the market, and for real this time. This is genuine draining out of fear. So what happens? 2010, the last time VIX was heading below 18, the correction we got, this was a generational buy, guys. So what I would say is, whatever it is, the next correction that's coming, this is a mean reversion. This is going to be a very, very good opportunity to get in the market in the long term. So there's something to keep a lookout for, and just know, this is just a lot of strength. Of course, this is happening because of the excessive money printing, but at some point this is going to revert, and that's going to give you a great point of entry for the long term in this market. For our commodities analysis, we're going to be looking at oil this week, because what we're doing, this is the quarterly chart on oil, okay, and this is the big resistance we had. This is the resistance block, that essentially decimated the market on a quarterly time frame. We still have 2 weeks to go, but if price is closing up above this, so it's very bullish for oil, and energy in general. And this, what we do have another significant resistance level up here, but like we had a range down here, we could essentially just leave this lower range, get a markup, and start ranging up here, guys. So it's very significant in terms of what happens in global inflation, because if oil starts to range, at a higher range, or in fact if this breaks out, it's going to be very dangerous for most of the pricing across the board. So there's something to watch out for. And we've broken up from a higher time frame trend line, essentially shift in momentum is taking place in this market, and you can see how strong a move we've had since that complete decimation and flush. This has been a very, very powerful move. I will not count it from the middle of the range, but still 3 to 4 times since May, So it's just about a year. A very, very strong move, still a lot of force and momentum behind it, heading to a very significant resistance. But once we flip this, heading into a totally new range over here, guys, is definitely going to impact the rest of the world. So something to watch out for. In terms of plays, wait for this resistance to flip into support. But considering we've had no reactions on the way up, of course we got a reaction on the top of this block. I would expect a reaction here, possibly a bit of a consolidation before we do end up breaking this. But this becomes a great level. Once price break this, oil is heading into a new range.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and go ahead and share it with someone else. And if you have any questions about what we covered today, please leave them in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you or answer them in my next video. For more trading content and education, go ahead and click on the video on your right. Thanks for watching, guys, and cheers!